that a go?
Yep.
Excellent. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meetings of February 10th, 2014. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda is library contract. Joe, come on up. You have a contract to sign.
We have a contract to sign. It's been approved by town council. It's gone back and forth between town council and the architects. They've ironed out all the bugs in the contract. The contract amount is for the same dollar value that was allocated in the proposal that was brought to the voters for town. So everything is in order with it at this point in time.
Excellent.
Great.
Mark, if you want to make a motion?
I move to sign the standard form of agreement between Town of Mendon and Abacus Architects and Planners.
Let's step down in second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your help.
Wow, I can't spell.
Okay, second item is to discuss a proposed policy around direct deposit. Linda, if you want to join us?
8. What's today? Not 8. 2:10. I said 8.
How are you?
Good. I just wanted to swing this by you guys and make sure there wasn't any adverse reactions to it. Right now, the employees have the option
Yeah.
of a direct deposit. I'd like to make that mandatory for all permanent employees going forward, not employees right now. We do have a number of employees who get live or physical checks, paychecks,
Yep.
each pay period, and it won't impact them, but going forward, anybody hired on new now with the town. As long as they're being paid more than quarterly, more often than quarterly, I'd like to make it mandatory that they have direct deposit. It would be a little bit of savings in time for the
So grandfather everybody who's currently an employee
Yep.
and any new.
any new, going forward, have them do direct deposit.
Any idea of benefit in terms of savings and time, things like that?
Very small. This is not a big time saver, it's not a big money saver. It's convenience,
Yep.
and it's a little bit more secure for the people who are getting their paychecks through direct deposit.
Okay. All right.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, I have no issue with it.
Okay,
I'd ask Lonnie if he had an issue with it. But, you know.
he's already gone. I just wanted to run it by
I am
you.
kind of curious, have you floated the idea around the
No.
current employees to see would they take more advantage of it?
No, the feeling that I get from the few current employees that I've spoken to about why they take a live check right now as opposed to direct deposit is, each person has their own individual reason. Some just like the convenience of having the money. Some like to just go to the bank and that's their spending money, or that's their, their play money for the weekend. So purely personal reasons.
So Lonnie, we're talking about the policy recommendation for direct deposit, so legacy, grandfather, everybody who's currently employed to keep whatever option they currently have, and any new employee coming on would go directly to direct deposit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I have no issue. I'm not even sure we need a motion, do we?
But we got to change the personnel policy?
No, this is really inside the treasurer's office policy, but I just wanted to swing it by you guys, make sure there wasn't any real, knee-jerk reactions
Perfect.
negatively. Okay?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you just signed the library contract, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Where was that one? Oh, right here, yeah. All right. What do we have? Do we have on here about the floors?
Yes, John is here.
John, I'm assuming? Go on, come on up. Were we supposed to discuss that at a certain time? We're not waiting for anybody else, are we?
No, the gentleman from Milford Hardwood was out on a job, and we didn't think that
Okay.
he would be able to come.
It just come to, we had received one verbal quote, one written quote, or two written quotes, and then one of them being yours, and it was just considerably higher than the other one, which just caused us to see if you could come into, I didn't read through it yet myself, but I'm assuming that there's a lot more that you're offering than what the other ones were offering, or you know something more than maybe the other guys knew or something.
I don't know. I've been doing this 32 years. We've done a lot of the restoration work, and really, it's difficult to tell what we're going to be up against until the carpet's up. You know, so a lot of that is safety money. If it looks like it's going to be less, I can certainly work with you. It also, with the older woods, and this particular type of wood, which is vertical grain heart pine, if we need to replace it, like kind, it's expensive to buy.
Okay.
So I don't know how much repair is in there, because again, it's all covered right now.
Sure.
With
And that's
carpeting.
been the kind of the, we know of a couple spots that are soft.
Right.
Or a little off.
Right.
But other than that, I think that you're right. I don't think we know what we're really up against.
Right. So I have to allow for those kinds of things.
And is that allotment in here? Okay.
It's pretty much, if it's in rough shape, we're going to take care of it.
Okay.
I don't know what the procedures the other guys have. I know that in general, the high-end work that we do, I think I sent you pictures of the Christ Church renovation in Harvard Square.
Okay.
Which is same wood.
Yeah.
You know, we sand upwards of 4 or 5 times, and then we have another dustless machine that blends the edges to the middle. There's a lot of equipment that other guys don't even use. That we you know, that brings the prepared surface. And the reason that's important is that has to do with wear. I think I also gave you an option for a Woka oil finish. Now that's the same finish they use in like the Amsterdam Airport, which hasn't been sanded in 40 years because they maintain it. It's an older type of finish. A lot of guys use polyurethane. My recommendation would be an oil, a Woka oil, which is a hardening oil. It is a different process. It's a different, it's a different product than most guys use, which is standard in the industry, either water-based polyurethane or oil-based polyurethane. I'd absolutely recommend against water-based polyurethane. Molecular structure of water-based polyurethane allows water to penetrate. So you, at the very least, want to use an oil product if you decide to go with a polyurethane, because it has the unique properties of protecting the grain. The type of product that I'm recommending, it basically fills to the top of the grain, but does not have any what they call film building properties, which is what polyurethane has.
Okay.
The best way to describe it, I don't know if I sent, and I certainly could send you, there's a whole chart on the difference between polyurethane. When you put polyurethane finishes down, it will never look better than the day you put it down.
Right.
So you basically have your apex there, and then you have the slow deterioration.
So just on that buildup that you're talking about, so for instance, when you poly, every coat you put on it gets a little thicker,
Yeah,
a
you
little
get
thicker.
the film building, right.
And with the Woka, it actually just blends right in?
It just, it penetrates. If you see a photograph of it from the side, it penetrates deeper into the wood.
Okay.
Fortifying the fibers of the wood. Subsequent coats won't do anything more than get to the top.
Okay.
Okay, and at that point, you're done. You rub it on. Another good thing about the Woka oil is you can spot repair, which is very difficult to do with polyurethane. You get a scratch or a gouge, it's like, okay, how are we ever going to blend this in? That stuff, you can sand it, re-oil it, and it just kind of
goes right
blends in after time. So these are
That's all
kind-
part of this price?
That's all kind of, I give you an option of the Woca oil and the
But that
polyurethane
local price is in
finish.
here?
Yep,
Okay.
that's included in that price.
Okay. All right.
So, again, I can't say what the other guys are gonna give.
No, understood.
Yeah.
I do want to look a little bit more, one more time, at Milford's, even if it means it's just a phone call that we can get the information. Just so again, we know, so if any questions come up.
Absolutely.
I don't think that what was in, other than, carpet and actual, sanding the floors might be ultimately the same, but you seem to have some other ads in here which I do like, and I don't know that they were disposing of the carpet in the other one, were they? Okay, all right, well, okay, I
Yeah,
definitely want to.
I think I put that in there.
You did, you have it in here, yes. to
Rip up,
dispose.
remove, dispose.
Yeah, okay, so, I just would like to just look a little bit further into this, we'll make a decision
Okay.
within the next couple of weeks.
Can I ask a question? As far as future maintenance of the hardwood, what's involved in maintaining it and taking care of it?
That's a good question. Certainly, there's three things you do with the oil, if we're talking about the Woca oil. There's a cleaner that you can use, there's a soap you can use, and then there's oil. So you have cleaner, soap, oil, and those are from the least to the most, as far as the effectiveness they're going to have. Cleaner is just a cleaner. The soap actually leaves a little residue and protection. They call it soap, but that's really a maintenance procedure. And then occasionally you're going to re-oil. You're going to introduce another coat of oil. The more you do that, the wood actually gets stronger. What I was saying is the apex of a polyurethane finish is when you first put it down. The apex of a Woca hardening oil or some of the other hardening oils happens through time. It actually gets nicer through time. The more you maintain, the more you add oil, the more you keep it soaped.
What would, for a size this, for a future oil job cost?
Well,
Oil change.
let me ask you, do you have a maintenance guy here?
He's more of just the kind of cleaning guy who comes in and cleans the town hall.
Because believe it or not, if he has a buffer, I can show him how to do it. It's not a big deal. And an occasional oiling once every 2 years, once a year,
Oh,
depends
okay.
on, it's not that expensive.
So he can just apply the
Somewhere
oil,
about
buff
80
it in
cents a
quick?
square foot to re-oil it. And the soap I can get you, and you just, basically, it's like you would soap and clean any floor.
Okay,
String mop.
gotcha, okay, all right. And then, as far as runners, is the floor, as far as traffic, mainly wintertime traffic?
Right.
Is our biggest concern?
You always recommend any kind of wood floor
Yeah.
that in a high-traffic area that you have runners.
Okay,
Municipal, commercial, whatever, those kind of situations.
okay,
Yeah, I would recommend that. But again, even if you didn't do that, like I said, I think it's the Amsterdam airport. They haven't sanded that thing in 40 years. They
Really?
just maintain it properly.
well, I think that we should probably take a trip to the Amsterdam.
Yeah, we should all go right now.
Check it out. Get an
I wish there was
extension.
one around here I could show you.
That's all right. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. It was,
No problem. That's an older finish that has been, it's been around for 100 years. They're just starting to rediscover it. And we're having a lot of success with it, so something to consider.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Was the other proposal like that with detail? Oh, I saw that, yeah. Not really. Oil-based poly.
considerable price difference. So I think I'll do a little bit more research on it. I'd like to understand a little bit more about it.
Dan, do you have both those quotes electronically? Can you send me an email both?
Again?
Yeah.
I'll take them again as well. I'm sure that I have them. Okay, is there anybody here for anything that's on the agenda? So I don't make you sit and wait if there's something you're here for? I don't know that, are we discussing anything with the solar farm?
Couple things.
Okay, so let's go into that. Sorry, discuss the status of the solar farm lease and contract negotiations. That's what we're gonna discuss next. Sure thing. If that's all right. Just grab a microphone if you would. Yeah. So
Mr. Chairman, after
Ken-
last week's meeting,
Ken found some pretty good information out.
after last week's meeting, and we had discussion about homework, I did the homework, finding out that we spoke to 7 towns, and let me just start with, I want to confirm, because you didn't send me that email, it's
I didn't.
35,000 all in. Is that correct?
2 meg or
Oh,
35
was it
per
2 or
meg?
1?
So it's 35,000 per megawatt,
Yeah, okay, 35,000 per megawatt.
all in, regardless of how we break it up. That's,
Correct.
that's, yeah.
35,000 per megawatt is a mathematical number that we can plug in real easy.
Yep,
So of all these towns, yes, there's quite a bit of zig and zag going on where they have pilots, it's for 2 meg, and then each additional meg, et cetera, like that. Only one other town I found had it on town property, and that was the town of Canton. Theirs is on the dump. And so they weren't charging anything on that, any kind of property tax on that initially. I've only found one town, which was Shrewsbury, that was actually charging real estate tax on the ground that was underneath the solar. But having said that, they got 3.3 megs over there. Then the price of the pilot went down. By the way, the price of the pilots are all over the place. They go from $15,000 up to $51,000.
okay, so,
Some of them have PPAs, et cetera,
Sure.
like that. So the bottom line comes down at $35,000 per megawatt is a reasonable price that, for them to pay. And on top of that, that would be building permits on top of that. Or is that part of it?
I don't,
It's one of the items that's needs.
it's one of the items that needs to be discussed, whether or not
Okay.
we're gonna waive building permit fees or something like that, but,
That's a 50/50, by the way.
yeah. Yeah, I think it probably comes down to,
And then the next part that's part of the play is the PPA, Power Purchase Agreement. Whether or not everybody was buying the power. So again, when you start weighing all this stuff out, it's like buying a new car with a trade-in.
So to sum it up, saying that, okay, 35K is
Per megawatt.
per megawatt is a reasonable number.
And for each portion of a megawatt, yep.
Okay, so for a fair number as far as the all-in cost. And then on top of that, we're gonna get a discount on the electricity because of the PPA.
Yeah, then it comes down, what I discovered was that there was many different formulas for figuring it out. The easiest one to figure out, to show that you're actually getting a discount off of it, what your
yeah, right.
discount is a discount off of your current bill's all-in rate. How much you paying per kilowatt on your current bill.
That's for delivery charge and everything.
Yeah, when you start doing that, there is no, yeah, all-in means everything. You
Yeah,
take
your final
total bill divided by your total
Yep,
usage. And then come up with a figure. And then what is the discount off of that? If you start getting involved, some of them started getting involved in the the national, the National Grid spot rate. You know, it's like, now you're talking commodities, Wall Street, you know, too much. They can give you a concrete price off of what you're paying right now.
That's one of the two options that were part of the LOI with Northeast. That'd be the same option, I think BBT leaned to.
Yeah, okay, I'm not sure about that, I do remember the discussion on it, but whatever it is, that's the best one to go with.
Okay.
You want the fixed cost savings, so regardless of what the price is doing. And there'd probably be some sort of ceiling, floor on it as well.
Yeah, you can't go above,
Or below.
right.
At some point, if the price drops markedly, which you haven't seen in 20 years, your 20% discount gets reduced because you're not going to go beneath a certain floor. Is the way, I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah.
likelihood of that happening, slim
Yeah,
now.
Goes either way.
Right.
Okay, so at the end of the day, right now, we're looking pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
We're keeping it simple here.
No, that's what I like to hear.
But I'm gonna tell you something. If you guys were confusing me, I'm sorry, I don't mean you guys, if this whole thing was confusing me, and
Right,
I can only imagine everybody else out there,
understood.
because, you know, it didn't take long to.
And it didn't take much to get more confused, once we started going back and forth on certain things.
Oh, yeah, because.
Because I know I was confused.
The whole point is that we have to come back to a basis line of discussion. What are we talking about? And hopefully I squished.
No, and I thank you for doing the extra research, because my concern that was, we were making a mistake, and you had found something that we weren't seeing, but now that you've gone and done the extra homework, we're on the right track.
We're on the right track.
We're not hitting a home run, but we're not below the line, we're right on
My
track.
concern is gone away.
Perfect, thank you.
How's that? Make you feel better?
Yes, thank you for coming in and saying it. Most people's concern goes away, they don't come back. And tell us that we're okay, we're still sitting here going, eh.
No, it's all going well. You know, again, as you know, I was part of that. I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the town,
Yep.
and let's get it done with,
Perfect,
okay?
Perfect.
And,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
You're welcome, okay. Out of here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, there's a couple other things we should probably talk about as it
Okay.
pertains to this.
Thank you.
This is a late-breaking email we got this evening.
Yes.
And I want this one run by our town council versus bond council.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's okay, but I have a conference call tomorrow afternoon at 4:45 to talk to bond counsel about how this will impact our bond. Because once I submitted the actual bid to bond counsel for them to review how it would impact our bond, they said, oh, well, you have to pay the bond off, which was completely new news to me. I had believed.
This is the bond on the property?
Yes, which has an outstanding balance of about $400,000 plus
For that one piece.
for that one piece only, but that's a separate, it's
For
got
the-
its own bond.
For the whole piece, or
No,
just the
just that
backs?
one piece, that one commercial piece had its own,
That piece that's across from the zone.
correct.
So they want us to pay the whole thing off, even if we,
That's the initial
okay.
answer that I got, but with some pushing and some
Understood.
other irritation. I said, you know, if we are earning, or if the revenue from that piece of property is $70,000 a year, why does the Department of Revenue or the IRS feel it's necessary to come up with $400,000?
$400,000 a year, just.
But even if
Yeah,
it
right,
was.
even at the low, you know.
But the point is that it's not enough to pay off the bond, you know, and yet they essentially require that the bond be paid off. Not a problem, it's not, you know, from a technical standpoint, it's not a problem. I can get a State House loan, they're super easy, super quick, 1.5% interest, but now we've got to come up with the 1.5% interest. And I said,
What's that number?
well, 1.5 of it was somewhere near $8,000.
But then, how, I mean.
What's the interest rate now?
On this bond, 3%, but it's not with a bond, it's not as though if you pay it off early, you get out of the interest. We're obligated to pay, it's a 3% bond. And that has to be paid off. So even though we wouldn't normally pay it back until the fiscal 2016, we still have to pay the interest that would be due for
In
the next
fiscal
2
two.
years
On the bond.
on the bond.
If they call it in early, we still have to pay that?
Yes. On a bond, you do, because it's not like a loan. It doesn't work like a
Understood,
loan.
but they're calling it in early. We're gonna fight this one.
Well, yeah,
No, but what I'm saying
So-
is they're calling it, they want it paid off early. Why should we penalize? We're not asking them to pay it off.
well, it's, the "they" is the IRS. So it's not the IRS that holds the bond.
They-
It's just, the "they" that's requiring us to pay it off.
Who's the IRS?
Well, Mike, I'll get the numbers for you, but initially, Clark was going to get me a bunch of numbers, and I said, and I'll get them for you, but I actually said, you know what, before we get numbers, let's get the real rule, because this is a little unbelievable to me that we would be forced into this position of having to pay the bond off when we're not getting the revenue, it doesn't meet it. Now, the rules are the rules. They are what they are, and they're designed for towns that sell these properties.
Right.
Not lease them, but certainly leasing isn't anything new, and,
Right, we're not, yeah, that's.
I mean,
I think we should just make sure that this is part of
Yeah.
the discussion tomorrow with Brian and Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure, I'd like a second opinion on the rules as we're
Right.
hearing them.
okay, all right.
And then just sort of, I'm kind of trying to, in my head, figure out what are we, what that looks like in terms of payments, right?
Well, the payments would be basically the same as what they were going to be.
Right.
So instead of paying $200,000 a year to the bondholders, we're going to pay it back to the state, plus interest. That's really the only difference. Whether you're paying the bond off or a State House loan off, it's still going to be $200,000 a year. But the difference is that with the bonds, we have to pay the interest on the bonds.
Right, so if they
And
call
then
it-
the interest to the State House as well.
So if they're gonna call a bond and we have to pay all that interest off, so our loss is,
The
Is it-
loss is equal to the interest that we're going to
Point and
have
a
to pay
half.
the state.
because they're paying 3 and she's saying it's a 1.5, so ultimately we lose an extra 1.5 on the whole deal.
It is equal to the interest that we have to pay the state.
Right, so it's.
Not the
one
end
and
of
a
the
half.
world, yeah.
Right, just something we gotta consider.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it, we'll just do it. But I mean, so then, if we don't have to do it, then we'll push back a little bit.
And I think it's an accelerated payment on 3%, is that right? If they call that bond early, we're paying 3% on it now?
It's about, because it's a number of different bonds that make up the $200,000 or $400,000, they vary, but they're all about 3%, yeah.
Okay.
The average is
And that's
3%.
an accelerated payment, right?
No, this was a bond that was taken out in 2009, and it was scheduled to be paid off in 2016. So I might not understand what you meant by,
I suppose it would be accelerated, it's like
Yeah,
a
'cause we
7
gotta
year.
pay all the interest that we could have spread load over to 2016 now.
yes,
Right, so it's
Yes.
accelerating that payment up.
Oh, right, yeah.
yes.
So from a
It's
lump
accelerating the
sum
whole thing up.
You'd have to take out, the State House loan, the State House loan that you'd have to take out would be enough to pay off the principal and the interest of, or, it's not
Right,
principal,
right,
but the
right.
bond and the interest
I think we're still
on the
okay.
bond.
Okay.
I don't think it's a huge problem, it's just kind of a bit of a kick in the stomach right now.
Yeah.
And,
We're talking, but again, we're talking about financing it, so.
Right.
But still, those are on the, so we have to be, how does that work? So now we have an extra, we're gonna have to pay an extra amount in the payment, but the people only allowed, so how does that work on the vote? Because we voted to purchase that, so we have to pay for it, so we have to now, that's on people's taxes, right?
Yes, and so there would be some.
An increase.
The dollar amount, there would be the 8,000 or so of interest that we'd have to pay to the State House loan would then have to be added to the taxes.
Yeah, Probably peanuts at the end of the day, but still,
Yeah, but it does, I mean, yes.
There'll be a slight
Yeah, it
increase.
would, we would have to come up with that.
sure.
We would have to
So,
come up with
and
that. The silver lining is that you then, after you pay the interest to the state, on the State House loan, you can use the rental, or the lease payments, rather, for anything you want.
You may want to think about getting everything knocked out quickly, and then you increase your operating budget by that much.
So you could ultimately do it, so it's what, it's 100 a year, so you could pay it off in 4 years?
Which, remember that we already have the $200,000 a year set aside anyways, or we would anticipate having that.
True.
Set aside
Yeah,
anyways.
so it doesn't matter. So the difference is still only peanuts at the end of the day.
Right.
Okay,
It,
I think we're
the
good.
difference is not small, it's just that it's just irritating.
No, I understand, okay. So we're irritated instead of broke.
Yeah, no, we're not broke, but if I know that the budget is already tight, and
Oh, no, okay.
this might be some money that we're gonna have to,
Sure, I think that, yeah, okay, but the offset is huge. I mean, that is covered way in the first payment, you know what I mean? We won't even, I mean, we might feel it for a minute.
Yep.
But I don't even think we'd feel it. I mean, we'd take it out of stabilization if we have to, and
I'm just glad Rich is
actually, it's gonna be
here.
rolled into,
Roland's here.
it's gonna be rolled into the loan anyway, so, yeah, we're not even gonna feel it. We're not gonna
you
feel
really, it won't be felt,
You won't feel it.
it's just a last minute, it's just
What
a
was that?
last minute.
Mosquito.
Yeah, it's just a last minute thing that gets thrown in
Frustration.
there when when people are trying to.
Oh,
Get
don't
this.
worry. I'm
So-
sure we'll find another one.
Could you give me, though, your anticipated timeline for this, as far as signing the contract, going to town meeting?
I'd have to say, ASAP, well, once we get an approval, well, here's the problem. We need to get an approval at the special town meeting that's coming up, so.
In February.
Yeah, so based upon that approval,
Yeah.
if we, if the townspeople vote to allow us to go enter into the contract, then at that point, I would say that as soon as we can, I don't have a timeline yet,
Okay,
so.
I
okay.
mean, tomorrow's discussion is to kind of framework of a lease, right?
Mhm.
Town meeting is just to allow us to enter into
The lease.
negotiations for the lease.
It will allow us to lease it, to create a
lease it.
contract to lease it.
And then we get back to the framework and finalize it,
Mhm.
and then we sign it, we hope, right?
But I mean, then there's still, I mean, in that framework is gonna probably lay out a timeline of when the first payment's going to
Okay.
be
Right.
expected, and then from there on out will be the 25-year countdown.
Well, only because there is a thing in the law. If the balance on the bond is less than 10%, then all of these rules go away.
Oh, okay, so
But
less than
that
10% of
won't
the original
happen.
value, or 10%?
10% of the original amount, yeah.
What was the original amount? 4
I
million?
don't think we're
No,
gonna get
no,
10%.
it was like 1.5, something like that. It was,
So we're not
Okay.
gonna get
Not-
to 10%. Because they're gonna.
Well, but what she's saying is that maybe we go and we pay off a portion of it.
one,
Now, we're still trying to save pennies.
1.5%.
Yeah, I think we're, no matter what, we
Okay.
won't reach that
Right.
in the time frame it will take us to get building over there or to get the first payment.
right.
So I don't think that it's worth, but I do see what you're saying.
My next payment on the bond is due in September, at which point in time, $200,000 gets paid and $200,000 is left. That's still not less than 10%. But if the revenue was deferred until
That's
after
different.
September, what I wanted to ask the bond council was, for
I think we
$200,000.
would-
Revenue, we're not gonna see revenue from this thing until probably after September, because it's August the first live date.
I think we need to understand more about what
Yeah.
triggers this. Is it a payment, or is it the actual signing of a lease?
That is one of my questions
Okay.
Okay.
that I'm going to have.
You're gonna
addressed.
talk to council about that tomorrow?
Yes.
Our council? Are you gonna be on?
No, bond council.
Okay, okay. And then we'll run it by. I'll bring it up to Bob in the conference call.
Okay.
All right,
And when is your meeting tomorrow with,
2:00, right?
oh, okay,
I'm just gonna phone it in.
okay, okay,
Great, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, did you have anything else?
No, well, not on that question, thank you. We're good. I just more some stuff, you're all set. So we don't need to necessarily decide on pilot versus et cetera, that's all part of the negotiations after we get approval.
Well, again, yeah, I think especially the fact that we're on the road, I'm happy to hear that, Ken did that extra research for us,
Right.
and that 35K is a nice, clean amount of money, that I just want to keep it as simple as possible.
Yep.
If a pilot complicates it, then throw it out the window. We'll call it whatever we want to call it, regular taxes, however you want to do it. I just want to keep it nice and simple so that this isn't a thorn in anybody's side moving forward. I mean, yeah,
I want to keep it simple.
at the end of the day, if we're getting 35,000, but we have to go do all kinds of paperwork for a pilot, then I
Right.
think we've kind of just,
I was thinking about this, with the pilot, the pilot might be simpler, because otherwise you
And maybe that's how it goes. I don't know. Right, I'm sure that they're gonna have some better information for me on what's easier, you know? But again, in order for us to do the pilot, we now have to have an assessment so that they can assess it correct. Well, yeah, so they can assess, because the pilot is based upon an assessment, so.
It's just a matter of you get the assessment to bucket the allocation between the two buckets of lease versus
Right.
pilot, so. The only other thing I'd say, we've got a new picture, so this is probably something they're gonna bring up. Lonnie, I forward this to you.
Yeah,
And what's happened is you still got the back half.
yeah,
I actually want to use this picture as part of a meeting in town.
Town meeting.
Town meeting packet. But they also have this thing called Solar Town of Upton. See this little triangle they drew in there?
yeah.
Apparently Upton's interested in being an off-taker as well. So that what you might hear tomorrow is they're talking about, well, could we get another meg out of that corner?
But that's 3 megs in the back.
That's 3, right.
The
Well,
trunk line only takes 3.
no, it takes up to 6.
Oh, well, all right.
So, I mean, that's one of those things, so Bob already mentioned options to lease additional land, things like that. I'm not sure we want to. I told Duncan, keep it in the back, stick to 3, BVT,
Yeah.
and we'll take the 3 more
Yep.
than likely. But I'd say this will come up tomorrow, and if we don't feel that infringes on the front, maybe that's another meg we think
Yeah.
about. Another 35, which is really what that would be. So,
I
you
think,
might hear that tomorrow.
okay, I think that, right now, I would wanna, what we're about to do right now is only to get approval from the town on what we're gonna do. I think that there's concern enough from the folks here in the community
I said
about,
the same thing. I said, you know.
about it, and I don't wanna stress anybody else further with, oh, hey, we're gonna put some solar panels over here for Upton too.
He said, if you can fit it in the back, that's fine. And then he said, oh, just maybe a small corner in the front. And I looked at it, I go, that's more than a small corner, it's gonna,
Except, and again, I think that the ideas that have been presented to us for that front half do incorporate more solar, mainly for their own reproduction, or reuse, I should say, but would bring a lot more to
yeah, no.
the community than that.
I think we gotta, I'm with you, I'd say stick to the back, stick with 3, and any option to lease is contingent. It's our option.
Have
not
we
theirs,
asked
you know
for,
what I mean?
have we asked for any rendering of what that will
Look like?
coming from
Yeah,
Hopedale? I don't think
yeah.
we're gonna have any issues.
Right.
I think it's more coming this way from Uxbridge. When you crest the top of the hill, I think that you're going to possibly catch a glimpse of a portion of that. Just as you crest the hill before you start to go down. And I'd like to know if they can get us a rendering on that for the town meeting, and I'll bring it up to them tomorrow.
Bring it up tomorrow, yeah.
That-
Sundance will be at town meeting.
Yeah, because if we can show people that, of how much that's gonna see, that maybe, because I think that there's a misconception that this thing's gonna be in your face, and I don't really think it's gonna be.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things there. They're not tall enough to be in your face when it's surrounded by wooded area.
True.
You know what I mean? So you might have.
But based upon the contour, when you're coming over
Yeah.
the hill, you might catch the top corner of it.
Right,
You know.
yeah, so,
Okay, cool. Anything else for the meeting tomorrow?
no, that's okay. Thank you.
Anything else on that?
No.
Okay, great. Secondhand dealers, anything? No? Yes?
I think we're waiting on public safety to come back with a recommendation on that one.
Perfect. Public safety, always waste. I'm only kidding. Consider adopting, anything on this one? BYOB?
We got a couple, we got feedback from council. I think the ball's probably in our court now to determine whether or not we want to modify or accept, the policy as town council's laid it out to us.
Because of going to the bylaws? It's gonna have to be a bylaw, right? Or is it just a
He
policy?
It's a
titled it
policy.
as a policy.
Well, in that case, a policy is very easy to accept and very easy to adjust.
One of the things that he asked was whether you want to charge a fee
For
for,
what?
for
A license?
anyone.
The
Yeah.
license.
Well, it's not really,
License like, it'll feel like a license, but it's not truly a license, right? So is there a fee associated?
$100.
I read that Northborough did something like this, and they basically did everything like as if they were applying for
A liquor
a
license?
liquor license, same fee, but not the state side of it.
I mean, I would like to try to keep it in a similar fashion. I mean, reoccurring annually.
Yep.
Review, a routing slip review too, because I mean, it's one of those things where if, I don't know, I think public safety would have an opinion on, certain establishments and what they're seeing in terms of, if they're seeing anything.
Yep.
But I would probably, if we go ahead with this, align it to something very similar to what we do with our annual license process.
So make it annually, and I would say that charge the same amount we do for a current liquor license.
So, do you know offhand what that?
Well, there are different liquor licenses, like a restaurant all alcohol license?
Yep.
I believe it's 1,200
1,200 to the town or 1,200 to the state?
to the town.
1,200.
believe
I think it is
so.
1,200.
Yeah, I sent an email and now I have to find it with the fees.
Have we asked Chief Horn for an input on this? More curious than anything, because I would still think that would be the one area that,
Oh, didn't he say it was up to you guys?
Well, yeah, but I don't mind a recommendation. I know we have to make the decision, but he is the one, he's going to enforce this to some extent, or be impacted by it. I'm not sure he's
Yeah.
enforcing the policy per se, but.
Well, yeah, but the policy would be the guidelines for the enforcement.
Right.
So as long as those are, again, it's a policy, so it's adjustable at any given second.
Right.
I mean,
like that.
in reality, it is. I mean, we don't have to go to town meeting for it.
All right, so in general, any of us,
Actually, I don't know. Can we just talk about that fee for a second?
yeah, I'm surprised you went with that high.
Yeah. You know what? I wasn't thinking about it. See, so although you might,
I thought you were going to say no fee.
what's the policy say? Like so it's a bring your own bottle, and then what are they charging to pour it?
No, they
have
can't
to
actually
pour-
handle it. The establishment can't touch it, handle it, do anything. They're
They can't
actually,
dispose of it.
They can't even touch it.
No.
right.
Okay, so there's really no added benefit to the business other than maybe, okay, if they,
They'd only do it to drive traffic.
what I'm saying is you might end up with a little bit more traffic, and it's an if. So if anything, it's more of a liability or pain, because you're not making any money on the booze.
Well, yeah, I mean, no direct income off booze, which is why this might be a little steep.
Yeah, I'd say 400, if you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, right now, the common vic license fee is 25, all alcohol is 1,200, restaurant wine and malt regular is 1,000.
Yeah, I would definitely go with, and 400 might even be a little high, but I think that, let's start there, see if anybody even says anything. I mean, only for the simple fact that there's no major revenue boost by having this license. If anything, it's more of a burden to the business. Other than, some traffic of some people that really wanted to go to Pop's Popcorn with some beer. I mean, I guess that's the reality of it,
So, there's no, I'm not hearing any dissent in terms of going,
No.
establishing the policy.
And I don't think I didn't recall seeing anything in the policy about a routing slip, so if you want to include that, it has to be added.
I do.
Hold on, though. As far as the routing slip is concerned, we just kind of have a routing slip for everything. There's nothing in there about the common vic needing one in our laws that's just part of how we go through it. The routing slip is an internal item
Procedure.
that we want to make sure that the taxes are paid on that piece of property before we're going to issue your common vic. So
Same
I don't think it needs to be in the actual policy, because the policies, I mean, that, again, that's an internal
Okay.
item for us.
Do we have a date we want to make this effective?
February 1st. Sorry, March 1st. It's already February. Right? March 1st, good? Or, I mean, as of today, if you want. February
I wrote
10th.
March
Does it
1st.
really matter?
I don't think so. Do we have anybody banging down the door for one?
Someone's inquired, but no.
Right. which is why we started the process.
Oh, okay, yeah, March 1st, that's fine.
And that gives us a chance for public safety to weigh in, see if they have any public safety concerns. Okay. I move to adopt the Town of Mendon Board of I move to adopt the Town of Mendon Board of Selectmen Bring Your Own Bottle, BYOB, policy effective March 1st, 2014, with an annual fee of $400.
Second.
We just had a question come in. I'm assuming that it's still up to the establishment to monitor the fact that they'd be 21 to drink it on the premises, right?
Yeah, it says right in the policy.
Okay, yeah, it does say it right here,
Do we need to read the policy? Apparently people are listening.
yeah.
That's a serious comment, actually. I mean,
You know what, it's a little big, so I would actually give a copy to the newspaper, maybe they can print it. And I'm sure we can probably get it on the website as well. It's pretty lengthy to read, I think.
or if anybody's curious to see it, they can also contact our office directly, and we can send an electronic copy. And
Of course.
I could put it on the website.
We can do that, too. We're all about customer service, though, Diane, right?
Okay.
Being laughed at. All right, we need a vote.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have common vic licenses that are still, no applications received yet. They'll get them in, I'm sure, that's the usual slow ones there. Or are you asking us to approve them without application? Their seasons don't even start for a little bit, so,
It's up to you. If you wanted to wait till the meeting on the 24th, that's fine. I haven't seen it. I sent the letters out and I haven't seen anything back yet.
yeah. Yeah, it's for George's Surf and Turf and the flowers, for Lambert's Flowers on Cape Road,
So
so
the motion is pending, positive routing slips and complete application, so,
I'll just table it,
all right?
yeah. Oh, you're saying,
We could,
let's approve it then, yeah, and once their stuff comes in, then that's fine.
so I move to renew the 2014 common victualers license for George and Love Francois, doing business as George's Surf and Turf 116 Uxbridge Road, and the Hawkers Peddlers Transit Vendors license for Sean Lambert, doing business as S&C Flowers, 1 Cape Road parking lot, pending receipt of positive routing slips and complete applications.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Miss Grove Road, we're all set with that, the extension, so it's now Kim's Way?
Yep, town council didn't have a problem with
Great.
the vote.
Flooring the town hall we discussed. Additional deficit spending request for snow and ice. You gonna approve that?
Yeah, I move to deficit spend the snow and ice removal account an additional $40,000 for a total of $100,000 through June 30th, 2013.
Second.
Discussion. Anything from the finance committee? I mean,
No, the finance committee can vote on it next meeting on the 19th.
Okay.
As long as it's done before the...
special town meeting. Great. Yeah, well, it's a deficit spend. This isn't even a transfer.
Right.
Okay, great.
We can do it right before the meeting, too.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Choose March meeting dates. Just stay in succession of what we're doing. Every other Monday?
Yeah, the last scheduled one, I think, is for the 24th, which is your special
Special.
town meeting.
Yep.
So I was gonna
that's
post for
24th.
6:30 that night, just
So
in
the
case.
10th, 24th? We'll go with the 10th and the 24th for now. What's the thing about the FinCom meetings?
The,
Those are dates that they're going to be doing some budget reviews in case we need to be posted.
Oh.
Or we are posted, actually.
We are already posted for those?
no, I will, but they're,
Just post them that we may attend, just in case more than one of us want to go.
the first one is for the STM articles, and the second one is for FY15.
Okay.
And we
Thanks.
actually have one, Rich sent us a meeting invite for our review of the budget too, right, in March, is that right? Did I see that come through?
All right. Anything else?
I thought
All
we
in?
had, do we have an executive session motion?
We do, but do we need to discuss anything in it?
Unless unless you want to give us, if you want to give us an update. You wanted to give us an update Thursday?
Oh, we didn't go in? Yeah, we'll take 2 minutes and do it, only because it's really quick, it's just the early stages.
Okay, so,
I'll accept a motion to go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. We'll reconvene only to adjourn. A roll call vote is needed.
so moved.
Second,
Discussion. All in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Tenio, aye.
real I.
Good night, everybody. We will see you at the next meeting.